My name is Tiffany Spraggins-Payne. You are listening to Zig Zag, a weekly podcast discussing women in science, technology, transportation, engineering, entrepreneurship, mathematics, and related industries. On Zig Zag, we discuss inclusion and diversity news, current trends, and have special guests speak about their experiences, including their competitive edge in the marketplace.
Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Martin, the producer for the Grit Studios. Today is Thursday, October 4th, 2018, which means Philly's 34th Annual Minority Enterprise Development Week, or MedWeek, is almost over. Because of MedWeek, we have a very special Zig Zag episode for you. On Monday, October 1st, 2018, Tiffany moderated a panel discussion about bonding and finding work in construction and lateral industries. So we actually decided to record the session and release it to you as an episode. Now, the discussion ran for about 45 minutes, so we decided to break it into two parts, and this is only part one of two, but part two is also available right now. Now, please excuse the changes in volume that happened for the first few minutes. This was actually our first live recording, so we just needed to work out the kinks. Please send any feedback you have at all about this specific episode or Zig Zag in general to grit@theenterprisecenter.com. That's GRIT@theenterprisecenter.com. And we would also just like to take a moment and thank you all out there so much, all of our listeners, for helping us reach 30 episodes. We obviously could not have done it without you. So on behalf of myself, Tiffany, Zig Zag, and the entire Enterprise Center team, just a really big, wholehearted thank you. So please enjoy this episode, and without further ado, here we go.
So, I would like to start with introducing today's panelists. Today we have Ms. Iola Harper. She's a Deputy Director of the Office of Economic Opportunity with the City of Philadelphia Commerce Department. Iola, could you tell us a little bit about what you do at the City of Philadelphia? Just a quick overview.
Sure. Quick overview. We are the arm of government that does compliance and monitoring to ensure that people of color, women, individuals with disabilities have contracting opportunities with the city. So we set participation goals for contracts, and then we monitor those contracts to ensure that the levels of participation that we've established are achieved. And so we do that, and we're also cheerleaders and advocates for businesses like yours to make sure that people are thinking of you when they're thinking of economic opportunity.
And then to her left, we also have Ms. Lisa Ashton Mattioli. She is the Diversity and Community Manager at Intech Construction, LLC. Lisa, could you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. As the Diversity and Community Manager for a large commercial construction company, it's my job to ensure that small businesses, minority, women-owned businesses, and disabled-owned businesses have a fair shot at contracting with our projects. Whether they're city projects or private projects at Intech Construction, we like to make sure that small businesses are represented in everything that we do. So it's really all about community and keeping that workforce and business sense in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you, Lisa. And we also have in the room, we have Ms. Michelle McDowell. She is the president of JMAR Insurance Agency, Inc. Could you tell us about what you do?
Of course. I am the president of JMAR Insurance. We've been in business for 27 years. We provide insurance and surety bonds for minority and small businesses. We also work with different entities such as the Department of Transportation with Tiffany to provide education on bonding, how to get pre-qualified, and get a bonding capacity letter. And we also have developed different programs throughout the city with the NTI when it was in existence, with the street administration working with contractors to do demolition. We also established the program at Temple University, the construction management program, to train minority contractors on bidding, estimating, blueprint reading, insurance, and bonding.
Thank you, Michelle. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Darin Gatti. He is the Chief Engineer of the City of Philadelphia's Streets Department. Could you tell us about what you do?
Sure. Well, my office is the design and construction office for the streets department, and we design all of the streets department projects and put them out for construction. Now, we use both in-house design, but we also hire consultants to do the work, to do the design work. We put together the contracts. And when we're putting together the contracts, we work with the OEO office to come up with the DBE goals for the projects, put the projects advertised for private contractors to bid on, and then we manage the construction, manage those construction contracts. So we do all types of contracts for streets, paving, bridges, traffic signals, street lights, communications. Pretty much we do several $1 million a year.
That's wonderful. And so while we have you, Darin, I want you to tell our audience a little bit about how you've come to know about this bonding education program with USDOT and some of the work you've done with this program thus far.
Well, we've been invited to this program, to previous sessions of this program. We just did one and finished up in March, I believe it was. And we were invited to speak first just to talk a little bit about what we do, but also to talk about the experiences that we see, all right, how contractors need to work with us, what to look out for, what it's like to work for the city, how to get your foot in the door. And it's been very enlightening for us. And hopefully it's also been enlightening for the audiences, as I hear some of them have actually gotten contracts from, after participating in this program.
Wonderful. We're going to come back to you with a follow-up question. I'm going to cut over to Iola. Iola, could you tell us a little bit about the small business landscape?
Sure. I think, there's not a better time to be in the city of Philadelphia in terms of business opportunities. And I try to keep a realistic framework when I talk about this. And I think everybody sitting in the audience is aware of the many, many challenges that businesses owned by people of color face when they're out. But I've got to say that you couldn't have a better team of people fighting for you, fighting for your opportunity, sitting at the table. When you look at river to river, in the next 5 to 10 years, my boss, who's the commerce director, and I sat one day and did kind of a back of the napkin calculation. And we figured out that there was over $10 billion in economic opportunity that's coming to this city in the next 10 years. There's a new casino coming, if you don't know. There's a project called Schuylkill Yards. And all of these projects that I'm naming, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it is time to do your research and find out what is going on. There's a project called Rebuild with the city of Philadelphia, and they're going to spend $50 million over the $500 million, $500 million over the next 7 years, rebuilding parks, recreation centers, and libraries. So the list of opportunity goes on and on and on. And so from a landscape perspective, you have many people coming from out of the region here to try to take advantage of some of the opportunity that's here. So I encourage you all to stay really close to the ground in terms of information. Look at what's happening. Read a lot, because the landscape is robust right now, and it's the job of all of us. From a government perspective and from an advocacy perspective, we're in place to make sure that people know you exist, and that when opportunities present themselves, that we're able to offer up your firm, your capacity for consideration. But you also have to be ready when I throw you the ball to catch the ball. And so that's why places like the Enterprise Center and other places that provide technical assistance are also important. And I have been to multiple cities. There aren't a lot of cities that are this rich in resources for entrepreneurs. So take advantage of that too. And that's also part of the small business landscape.
Thank you. Iola, in a recent talk, you shared some SBA updates that 65% of net new jobs that are created in the U.S. is by small businesses.
Absolutely.
And, with that being said, I think the work that OEO is doing to make sure that all of the firms are registered and that you're actively encouraging firms, you and your staff, to not only check out the website and register, but take advantage of the breadth of services that you all provide to get ready for schoolyards.
Yep. And for all those other projects. And I think when we think about employment, we want to talk about long-term sustainable employment. Not employment for a particular project, and then your firm is out of business, or a particular opportunity. And so when I talk about robust and rich opportunity, I'm talking about opportunity that is continuous, and that if you keep your ear to the ground and if you stay connected to the right individuals and the right resources and the right reading materials, you will be in the know well in advance of opportunities so that you can prepare. So the Comcast of the world are great. We're in line in consideration for we're on the short list of cities for Amazon, which will bring several thousand jobs here. I think it's 50,000 jobs here. However, if you look on an aggregate basis, business by business, 2 jobs here, 5 jobs there, 10 jobs there, it's the small businesses that are creating the majority of jobs in the country. And we all are aware of that. And so I think it's important to keep you all connected because you are the job creators.
Thank you, Iola. We're going to cut over to Lisa now. Lisa, if you can talk to us a little bit about how you've been able to employ strategies at Intech to make sure that the playing field is level and that more subcontractors, particularly small businesses, get a shot if they're a women or minority-owned firm.
Sure. We've implemented a few programs. One of the things that I started was a small contractor mentoring program with Intech Construction, where we took a woman-owned business and a minority-owned business, and we formed kind of a partnership or mentorship with these businesses. And what that does is it exposes them to all of our arms, our estimating arm, accounting, back of house and technical assistance, that commercial construction contractors may need when they're developing or growing. As a result, these firms were able to bid some of our projects, and they're not successful, the first time around. It's a learning process because we're dealing on a larger scale. But, when they were able to hit that success, just utilizing what they learned from watching what's going on in Intech's office, they were able to successfully bid a project where they're our prime contractor. So it's a direct contract with Intech, and work on multiple projects after that. So it's, you bid one library and then you go for a supermarket and you grow with that. So that's one of the things that we've implemented. And then some of the other things, just listening to small businesses and what they have to say, or connecting with Iola, finding out what small businesses need to help them get that push, to be competitive. As a matter of fact, October the 16th, we're having an open house for a University of Pennsylvania project that we're going to be doing. And that open house is for small businesses, just to give them a little bit more time, a little bit of push, to hear about the project, the schedules, meet all of the estimators. Everyone who's going to be involved with this project will be at this event October 16th, and that's going to be on Penn's campus at Houston Hall. But it's those little steps. If small businesses need more time, then we need to find a spot to give them more time. Big companies like ours need to do that, need to carve that out. So.
That's amazing. And again, I can only speak to the relationship that USDOT has had with Intech, where you all have come in and you've not only been a supportive strategic partner in helping us to strategize around getting our firms in the door for contracting opportunities with Intech, but you've also been at the table to make sure that our firms are really understanding all that's required in order to be considered for opportunities with Intech and beyond, which I think is really great. Michelle, could you talk to us a little bit about Surety versus insurance. They're two fundamental differences.
Surety is a three-party agreement where insurance is a two-party. So the three-party being the obligee, which is basically the GC or the person that is in charge of the project. It could be the city of Philadelphia. It could be one of the city's entities. The principal, which is the insured, and the surety company. So an insurance policy is based on the insured and the insurance company. So it's two parties. So you have the three and then the two. A surety bond, when you get a surety bond, the premium is based on the basically the fee that the surety allocates to that bond, where insurance is based on different actuarially terms. It could be based on your payroll, your revenue. It could be based on a building that's insured. So there's a fundamental difference between the two. But they're both insurance instruments.
Thank you, Michelle. Mm-hmm. With that being said, getting back to you, Darin, you're responsible for writing a lot of the regulations and codes and policy around the heavy highway projects that exist in the city of Philadelphia. When you are writing or just basically forecasting and looking at these various projects that are coming up, what are you thinking about what do you have in mind when you're writing these as it relates to small women and minority-owned firms?
Well, there's several parts to putting the package together. One is the project itself. Our projects generally range in size anywhere from, say, $1 million to $20 million. And when we're putting the package together for that, we're looking at who do we need to do this type of work, but also what are the components of the work? How can it be broken up? You see, the prime contractor isn't required to do the entire project, and there are very few prime contractors that actually would be able to do the entire project themselves. So we look at setting it up so that there's pieces that can be taken off and given to subcontractors. And those are the opportunities that we see that are prime for the DBE contractors, the small startups. So we always make sure that we have pieces that are small enough that a startup could handle and get in on that. And with each project, it's a little bit different about the type of work that we're doing. But once we have all that set up and those pieces we actually add up all the small pieces, and that's when we sit down and we start talking with the OEO office about what the opportunities are. So we add up all the opportunities, the items of work that could be handled by a smaller firm, and we work with the OEO office to see how many firms are available. Certified firms are available for different types of work. And with that, we come up with a required percentage for the contract. So the whole idea is we set the contract up so that there can be a successful team that includes small-time contractors, not just the big guys.
That's awesome.
Tiffany?
Sure.
Yeah. Just to build on that, it is really important if you are certified that you become part of our registry. He just talked about coming to the registry to look at the businesses that are available. So in the OEO world, let's just say, I don't know, we're looking for a paver. In the real world, there might be 100 pavers in the city. But when my office is looking at availability and we're setting participation goals, we are limited. Our availability, our view of availability is limited to businesses that exist in our registry. So I meet businesses all the time who might be certified, but for whatever reason, they're not in our registry. So I encourage you to share with others the importance of being in the registry. Number one, you get noticed. But number two, it empowers OEO to increase our participation on a project. So I hear sometimes where or I hear criticisms oftentimes about our participation numbers being too low. Well, you only put 10% minority goal on this, or 7% women. It is based on availability. So they kind of go hand in hand, and I think it's important. And I wanted to, since you witnessed right there, comes to the registry to see who's available. And so I hope that if you aren't certified, that you consider certification, and if you aren't certified, that you consider becoming part. I always say become part of the OEO family by joining our registry.
And to add to that, as a commercial contractor and CM, it's the first place that I go to look for minority and women-owned businesses. It's my number one tool. I want to see if they're registered with the city, then I know all of their paperwork is all right. So it's kind of a double for me, and I know that they've probably done work with the city, so they're good contractors. We feel good about submitting these lists to our estimators.
It's a perfect segue into my next question for you, Lisa, which is, how does a subcontractor go about building a relationship with a prime such as Intech? It
goes quite like this. Intech, we actually have a division of Intech called Renovations and Interiors. So while we work on really huge projects like the Green Federal Building, we also work on things like interior fit outs for offices. It could be almost anything, but the good news is these are smaller projects. They're smaller contracts. You bid on them sort of the same way you would the larger projects, unless of course we have an emergency project. But these projects are smaller. They're smaller packages. They're manageable, and you bid as a prime. So what that does is we have the relationship with the small companies, and it keeps the money closer. That way we can help you develop and grow. Like, you would immediately meet me, and I would be able to introduce you to everyone that works at Intech. Like, wow, you're working on this Wawa project. Maybe if you can do this supermarket project. So it kind of builds up like that. At Intech, the principals will tell you, we'll hang a door for you or we'll build you a planet. So they don't turn down any work, because of its size. And because of that, we're able to engage small businesses and then help them grow from, doing a drywall fit out in a small Wawa to doing 3 floors of a hotel. So.
That's wonderful. Michelle, a surety bond is a type of protection that is usually required by the state, the local, or federal government agency. Mm-hmm. Could you provide our audience with a quick checklist of things that they could use in their toolbox to prepare for going after a bond?
Mm-hmm. Bonds are, when you're in the process of establishing your bond capability, one of the most important things is the credit worthiness and financial stability of the company. So the surety company is going to look at that, and that is based on your financial statements, your tax returns, and also the character of the owner. So they look at the personal financial statements. They look at the personal tax returns of the owner, the principal owner. So you could have, if it's an LLC, they're going to look at each owner that is part of the company. And they also look at your spouse. So, excuse me. Also, they look at your bank statements. They could look at if you have a line of credit. So things like establishing lines of credits, getting a CPA, and going through your financial statements. There's different financial statements sureties look at. First, they could look at an in-house statement. They can look at a compilation statement, which is really an overview that the CPA looks at. They don't really sign off on it like an audited financial statement, where they actually have the notes, the audit notes from the CPA. But depending on the contract size will depend on what the surety is requiring of that person, that owner. So those are some of the things that sureties look for. And those are some of the things that an owner has to start putting together to get established with the bond company.
Thank you, Michelle.
That's it for part 1. And remember, you can listen to part 2 right now.
My name is Tiffany Spraggins-Payne, and I'm signing off.
Hey everyone, this is Ryan again. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Zig Zag. Now, more information about similar events and services to help small businesses grow can be found at theenterprisecenter.com. You can also find the Enterprise Center on Twitter at Phila TEC, Facebook at TECCDC, and Instagram at West Philly Foods. And all those links are going to be below in the show notes. And if you enjoy our programming, the most important thing that you can do to support us is share this episode with your family and friends, and be sure to tag the Enterprise Center in all your posts. We will see you next week, and as always, thank you for listening.